How about those Devils? How about those Devils? How about those Devils? How about those Devils?
How about those Devils? Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And the New Jersey Devils headed to Minnesota, desperately looking for a win, coming off of a horrible performance in Winnipeg the night before. And your New Jersey Devils found a way. They dug deep, persevered in a playoff-like war, beating the Minnesota Wild by a score of 5-2. I must ask, I must know.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? This one had a little bit of everything. Jacob Markstrom back in the pipes for your New Jersey Devils. Luke Hughes, a game-time decision, and he's able to go. We missed him big time in that Winnipeg Jets game. Good thing Luke was able to go last night against the Wild, and what a game. This one had a little bit of everything. Goal scoring, scrums, fights, great saves, a playoff-type war, and the New Jersey Devils responded, and what a game. Hopefully a sign of things to come. We'll circle back on everything and all the thoughts and things, but we get to the game. First period, it did not take long. Wild turn it over deep in their O-zone. Stefan Noesen picks up the puck, makes a nice little spin move, and hits Jesper Bratt with the pass. Bratter goes flying up the ice. Let's go a wrister. Big, juicy rebound off of Gustafsson's pad. And Nico Hischier is right there to bang it in.
He's pretty, and he lives in Jersey City. Number 13, Nico Hischier.
Nico Hischier's 31st of the season at only 29 seconds from Jesper Bratt and Stefan Noesen. And oh, baby, what a play that was. Love to see the Devils score in a first period. Love to see them score first. And it didn't take long. Much like Winnipeg the night before, they got a goal within the first minute. The Devils waste no time. 29 seconds in, Nico's 31st. Gives the Devils a 1-0 lead, and I was hopeful. After that goal, I was like, okay, we finally score first. We all know the Devils play better with a lead. Set the tone, maybe take the crowd out of the game a little bit, suck the life out of the building. And what a great play by Bratter, and what a great follow-up by Nico Hischier. Love to see that. Devils up 1-0 at only 29 seconds. And then I was like, I want another one. And my wishes were granted. A little bit later in the period, Devils in transition. Dumoulin rips a nice wrister on goal. Big rebound, comes out to the side to Paul Cotter, and he fires it on net and through Gustafsson.
Paulie. Yo, Paulie. Hey, yo, Paulie.
Paulie. Paul Cotter's 16th of the year at 5:46, assisted by Dumoulin and Foot, give the Devils the 2-0 lead, and I was like, oh, baby. Is it going to be one of those nights? Are we going to coast to a nice win where there's no indigestion or irregular heartbeats, near heart attacks throughout the whole game? I was hoping for it, and overall this game had some moments. It wasn't an easy win by any stretch, but Devils up 2-0 from Cotter's goal at 5:46, and then unfortunately the Wild answered later in the period. Spurgeon takes a shot from the point. Foligno tips it in front past Markey. Foligno gets his 12th at 16:31, cutting the Devils' lead to 2-1, and this is a very frustrating type of goal for me personally, just because we've seen the Devils beat by these so often this season, whether it's a slap shot or a wrist shot. It seems like other teams routinely park a forward in front of the goaltender, and they'll just fire shots from the point and hope to get a nice little tip or deflection, and it's worked very well against the Devils all season long. Hopefully we could cut down on that. But back in the old days, if you parked in front of the net like that as a forward, Kenny Danico would have been giving you the two-hand cross-check special to the back, maybe whacking on the back of the legs. It was a different time back then. If you parked in front of a goalie, it was basically a murder zone. You were allowed to murder that player. The game has changed a lot, and unfortunately, a lot of things get called now. But I would like to see some sort of effort to clear the guy out, maybe, without getting penalized. Probably a very tricky proposition, but another one of those tip goals in front, and Foligno cuts the Devils' lead to 2-1 at 16:31. That is how the period would end. I was ecstatic for the Devils just to get out of the period with the lead after, they got that goal. They had a couple more chances late in the period, and I was just like, get out of this period with the goal. Go to the locker room with a 1-goal lead, and the New Jersey Devils managed to do that. Devils with 10 shots on goal in the first period, and the Minnesota Wild with 7. Overall, I thought a very good period for the Devils, and I was ecstatic to have a lead after 1. We head to the second, and the second period was very interesting. Things get a little chippy, or I should say very chippy. Very chippy indeed. At 6:57, after Foligno's running around, and he was doing it earlier in the game as well, Johnny Kovacevic had enough, and he said, let's go, baby. They dropped the mitts. I'm obviously fired up. Your boy Ace, old school fan. Heavier, edgier, more violent. Love the fisticuffs. Johnny Kovacevic drops the mitts, and Foligno takes like 2 wild haymaker swings, and Kovacevic kind of slips them before they lock up. And it was a very long, kind of dramatic, drawn-out, put-up-your-dukes kind of situation. And eventually, after Foligno misses with a couple, Kovacevic lines him up and lands a nice overhand and kind of gets the takedown all in one. Now, it wasn't the greatest fight of all time, but clearly a win for Johnny Kovacevic. You love to see it. Big win against the big, tough customer in Foligno. And the boys get fired up. First sign of life we've seen in this regard in quite a while. We've seen the Devils fight a lot earlier on in the season. You know I'm a fan of it, and I do believe it serves a purpose in the game. Big hits, big fights, whatever it is, physicality in general can often swing momentums of games in your favor, even if you're losing. And teams have employed this kind of tactic forever in hockey. Big hits and fights swing momentum and kind of change things around. The Devils led the league in fights earlier in the season, and then it kind of just fell off a cliff. We didn't get a fight for over 2 full months. There was no fights from the December 23rd Ranger game in which Paul Cotter and Brendan Dillon both fought, and then took over 2 months till Brendan Dillon fought, I forget who, against the Utah Hockey Club. But we saw no fights in between, and it seemed like the Devils kind of lost their spark. I do believe that heavier, edgier, more violent team we saw in December and January was large in part to just overall team grittiness, and we'd see the fisticuffs once in a while. The team was emotionally invested, just playing with a chip on their shoulder, and I think they need to get back to that. You saw it throughout the game last night against the Wild, and multiple players commented on it and talked about it after the game. I'll circle back on that in a little bit, but Johnny Kovacevic gets the win over Foligno in the fight, and then somehow, some way, and I hate to be this person to complain about officiating because it seems like we're doing that quite often, Rooney is the biggest scum in the history of the league. This guy, for those of you that haven't been following, this referee Rooney has it out for the Devils, and it's well documented. Even going back as far as the 2012 Stanley Cup Finals Game 6, he gave Bernier a boarding major early on in the game, which essentially sealed the game in the series for the Kings and caused the Devils to be eliminated and lose their chance at a miraculous comeback to win a cup. 2012 Stanley Cup Finals, Devils lose the first 2 games at home in overtime, painful situation. Go out to L.A., Kings win Game 3, and then the Kings are looking for the sweep in Game 4. Cup in the building, looking to win. Devils find a way to win, bring the series back to New Jersey. Devils win a beautiful Game 5, and then it goes back to L.A. for Game 6, and the Devils are now 1 win away in L.A. from forcing a Game 7 in New Jersey, which I fully believe they would have won. But in that Game 6, early on, Steve Bernier gets hit for a major boarding penalty, and Kings scored 3 goals on the power play. The game was over before it started, and that's it. Give him the cup. What a terrible way to lose a game and ultimately your chance at winning a cup. But Rooney was out for us back then. He was the referee a couple years back when the 3 goals got overturned against the Maple Leafs, in which the chicken tenders were flying on the ice. Wild stuff. This guy, there's just tons of incidents of him just putting the screws to the Devils, and it looks like another situation last night where Johnny Kovacevic ends up with an unsportsmanlike conduct after the fight. I don't know how. What happened? No one can give an answer. No one knows what happened. That was a clear-cut situation in my eyes that it should have been, Kovacevic gets 5 for fighting, as does Foligno. They go to the box, life goes on, but somehow we end up shorthanded. And I do believe this is a large part of why the Devils kind of reduced the fighting a little bit as the season went on, because I believe Sheldon Keefe probably told him to. And I think the reason he told him to stop fighting is because several times this season we've seen the Devils get in a fight and somehow end up shorthanded after the fight. It's insane. The refs look to give out these extra 2-minute minors and put you shorthanded. I don't know if it's a mandate from the league trying to cut down on fighting in general. I'm not really sure. Maybe that's slightly a conspiracy theory, but maybe it's not. We know the league doesn't love fighting, although they do love to promote it when it benefits them, like, the 4 Nations Canada-USA game. They were certainly sharing all the stuff and loving the impressions and views they were getting from that melee with the 3 fights to start the game. I digress, but somehow the Devils end up shorthanded again after a fight, totally bogus. Luckily, they killed it off, and that got the boys fired up. No goals in the second period. Another very good period of playoff warfare hockey. The Devils with 11 shots in the second, the Wild with 12. Very close. So through 2 periods, Devils with 21 shots on goal and the Wild with 19. We head to the third with the Devils with a 2-1 lead, and now a lot of you in the chat were being super negative, like, oh, how are we going to blow this one? And I get it. This team has kind of tortured us all season long. It's been a wild roller coaster ride for the 24-25 New Jersey Devils. They've toyed with our emotions. Very high highs, very low lows. And a lot of people were skeptical whether the Devils would be able to hold on and whether the storm that the Wild would inevitably bring to them in that third period. But we get to the third, and at 3:13, Nico takes the puck away from someone in our D zone. A nice little steal. He just goes flying up the ice. He cuts through the neutral zone. He kind of mesmerizes and freezes 3 Wild defenders and just rips a beautiful wrister off the post and in.
He's pretty and he lives in Jersey City. Number 13, Nico Hischier.
Nico Hischier strikes again, his 32nd of the season and 2nd of the game at 3:13, unassisted, giving your New Jersey Devils a 3-1 lead. And now I was like, all right, boys, come on. Now we got to really clamp down. We got a 2-goal lead, third period on the road. We need these points, trying to inch our way closer to the playoffs. Let's get it done. And, of course, the Wild answer. A couple minutes later, shot from the point off the post, drops on the goal line behind Markey. He quickly dives down and gets his stick in position, prevents the puck from going in, but the Wild just crash the net and jam it in. And Hartman gets his 11th of the season at 5:22 to cut the lead to 3-2. And I was so pissed at that point. We had just taken the 2-goal lead back, and Markey made a great play to kind of make the save on the initial shot that went off the post and just kind of dropped. But in the end, it needed to get covered up immediately or cleared the hell out of there, and it just kind of sat there while his stick was in position to keep it from going in the net. Wild pounce, and once again, we have a 1-goal game. Hartman's 11th, cuts it to 3-2 at 5:22. I had the heart attack flutters going. But, oh captain, my captain, Nico Hischier, what an animal. Later on in the period, Devils whipping it around on the power play. Just beautiful puck movement. Luke Hughes rips a shot on goal, but he misses it by a little wide. It banks off of the glass and ricochets right back towards Nico Hischier, and Nico Hischier puts his glove out. He gloves the puck, drops it down, and immediately puts it into the empty net.
He's pretty and he lives in Jersey City. Number 13, Nico Hischier.
Nico Hischier, the hat trick for your captain. Nico Hischier, his 3rd of the game, the Hattie, 33rd of the season on the power play at 14:50, gives the Devils the 4-2 lead, assisted by Luke Hughes and Jesper Bratt. And I was going nuts, guys. I was going absolutely ballistic. The 2nd hat trick this year for our captain. He had one back in November at the Rock against the Nashville Predators. I was fortunate enough to be in attendance for that. Beautiful moment. Nico, the captain, does it again tonight, willing his team to a win. Nico puts the boys up 4-2 with just over 5 minutes remaining. And a little while later, we'd get the dagger. Dowling causes a big turnover in our O-zone. He gets the puck to Tatar. Tatar gets the puck to Palat right away. Pally goes to rip a shot on goal. It gets blocked. The puck's just kind of sitting there, and Tatar just fires it into the net. At 16:46, Tatar's 7th of the season from Palat and Dowling gives the Devils a 5-2 lead, and that is how the game would end. Your New Jersey Devils gutting out a beautiful victory over a pretty damn good Minnesota Wild club in their own barn. And wow, what a game. Excitement everywhere. Like I said, very chippy, very scrappy. We had the fight. Markstrom was getting engaged. He was jamming guys with his stick. He came out of the crease to rough some guys up a little bit. Very into the game. In my opinion, Markey's best game since coming back from injury. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's do the game stats. Devils with 33 shots on goal. The Minnesota Wild with 24. Devils 56.3% of the faceoffs, and the Wild with 43.8%. Devils perfect on the power play, 1 for 1. Wild 0 for 2 on the power play, and that is, my friends, perfection from special teams. We had 1 power play. We scored on it. We had 2 penalty kills. We killed them both. Beautiful performance from special teams, and special teams are going to be huge in these last 7 regular season games, as well as in the playoffs. Your penalty kill has to perform, and you got to make the most of your power play chances. Devils, beautiful tonight on special teams. Devils, 24 hits. Wild with 29. Devils with 9 block shots, and the Wild with 19 block shots. Devils, 11 giveaways. The Wild with 7 giveaways. Devils, 5 takeaways, and the Wild with 7 takeaways. And that is the tale of the game. Jacob Markstrom, once again, in my opinion, his best game since coming back from injury, saving 22 of 24 shots, some of them very high danger, high quality scoring chances. He was there all night, and if it wasn't for that deflection and that fluky one that hit the post, he may have only given up 1 or possibly a shutout. But it is what it is. It's hard to stop everything in this league, especially with how good these guys are. But what an outing for Markey. Love to see that. Like I said, he was feisty all night long. Love to see the aggression from Markey. He wants to win more than anything, and just don't come near his crease. Do not come near his crease because he'll give you the business. Great team win. Great team win. Hopefully a sign of things to come. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I believe, the Devils have turned it around or anything like that, because the one thing this team has shown us all season long is that, unfortunately, they are consistently inconsistent. And so it's almost like the tale of two teams. You'll get this great team on one night who's capable of beating anyone in the league, and then you'll get another version of the team on another night who is capable of losing to any team in the league. And, it kind of is what it is at this juncture of the season. The first half of the season, the Devils were amazing. The second half, they were god-awful. You kind of blend them together and average it out. And as of right now, I would say we are an average hockey team. We are. But I do believe, deep down inside, in the recesses of this club, that team from December and January that we all fell in love with and truly believed was a cup contender is still there. Now, how often they could get them to come out and play these types of games remains to be seen. As it is right now, they don't come out too often. But if they can dig deep and play these playoff hockey games like they did last night against the Wild, regularly down the stretch and into the playoffs, they are going to be a dangerous out, and especially when Markey gets even more comfortable. Obviously, it's taking him a little time to bounce back from missing the 5 weeks with his injury. Maybe he's still a little tender, maybe he's still a little rusty, whatever it is, he's working through it. But if Markey gets anywhere near that level from December or January, with the team embracing the defense and the heavier, edgier, more violent, kind of chippy, scrappy game, this team is going to be a tough matchup for anyone in the East. I truly believe that. And a lot of teams are going to learn the hard way, I think. They're going to learn the hard way when this Devils club gets in there and surprises some people. Or so I hope. So I hope. But again, one game at a time. I'm not saying anything's fixed. A lot of people were like, oh, you people are, people complain about everything. I'm going to enjoy every win in the moment as it happens, as we step closer and closer to clinching the playoffs. And then obviously when we get in the playoffs, I still have my concerns and my doubts. Obviously, any normal human being would. But what we saw last night was super encouraging. They embraced the playoff game, dump and chase, try to work cycles, try to get some greasy goals, and just do things that you need to do, even if it's uncomfortable. We all know the Devils earlier in the season were heavily relying on the rush and the transition game, using their speed. And smart teams negate that. They clog the middle. They try to force you to the outside. They just try to, make you work a lot more. And we weren't used to doing it regularly. We would see glimpses, bits and pieces of it here and there, but it wasn't consistent. If this team can truly play this way, I believe they are very dangerous. I do. But they have to do it consistently. That's the thing. Will they embrace this consistently? We don't know. We will find out. But for the moment, I am ecstatic for the win. A huge game for our captain. Nico Hischier, absolute beast, has the hat trick. He's up to 33 on the season. Jesper Bratt adds 2 assists. He's now at 86 points with 7 games remaining. A lot of people are still hoping he could somehow get to 100 points and be the first Devil in franchise history to hit the century mark. Hughes came oh so close a couple years ago at 99, just short. But Bratter went into this game needing 16 points in 8 games, so exactly a 2-point-per-game average. And in the first game, he did it. Obviously, that is, very, very hard to sustain over a stretch of 8 games. But he's 1 for 1 right now. Can Bratter get 14 points in the next 7 games to become the first Devil to hit 100 points? That would be something truly incredible. But, odds are against him. I'd love to see him do it. It'd be amazing. But as it stands, he is the now franchise single-season assist king, and he continues to keep pushing the mark. He broke Scott Stevens' 31-year-old record that he set in 93-94, which was 60 assists for Scott Stevens. Bratter now sits at 66 assists, so I think he should easily hit 70 and just keep pushing the bar. What a season for Bratter, and what a past 4 seasons it's been for Jesper Bratt. If you haven't really followed how great Bratter has been, I did a video on him a week or so ago. I'll put the link in the description, but he's been on an absolute tear, among the league's best, and he's up there in franchise history. It might surprise you. Check the video out. I'll put the link in the description. But I'm just jacked up, guys. This was a huge win, a playoff-type atmosphere. I believe a record crowd for the Minnesota Wild, another team that desperately is looking for points in their playoff push. And the Devils found a way. They were the hungrier team, and it showed. Beautiful game. Physicality everywhere. They got to embrace the physicality. For those of you that don't believe in the physicality, I don't know what more you want to see. You saw it last night. Physicality everywhere. The team responded. They were emotionally invested in the game, and it was beautiful. It was a work of art, and multiple players talked about it after the game, including Nico Hischier and his media availability. Amanda Stein asked him about, the physicality and Kovacevic's fight and all that, and he was like, yeah, guys responded to it. It kind of gets the group up. Markstrom briefly talked about it in his interview as well. And also shout out to Marky for being an absolute dog. He took a puck, in the collar area, and afterwards when he was doing the interview, you could see it was all, red and, swollen and shit. What an animal. I think he got, a brief timeout. I guess, I forget if the trainer actually came out or not, but the game stopped temporarily for him to kind of, shake it off. But what a beast. Didn't come out, and he took a puck to the collarbone. Can't feel good. But I'm jacked up, guys. This was a beautiful win. One of the best of the season, given the circumstances, for sure. 7 games left. Hopefully we can finish strong. They're playing the Wild again Monday night at the Rock. That should be an absolute war as well. Marc-Andre Fleury might be in the pipes for that in his last stop in New Jersey in his illustrious career. What a story Marc-Andre Fleury's been in this league forever, but wow. Should be a good one at the Rock, and I think we're going to see war again. We're going to see absolute war, but let me know what you thought about this game in the comments. I know a lot of you were jacked up. Shout out to everyone that came out to the post-game live. It was a pretty lively crowd for what was one of the better games of the season. I mean, wow. What a win. What a win. I'm pumped up. I can't wait for Monday. We got to take it to them just like we did last night. Got to do it again Monday. Pound on them and take their souls. Take their souls. I am hoping the Devils go back to Jacob-Markstrom. I'm a little worried that they will not. We're going to find out. But I do think Marky loves playing games. He's a fiery competitor, as we all know. He wants to win, and I think he wants to start every game. I think this was his best game since the injury, and I think we just got to let him find that groove. There's not that much time left, and so I hope they don't overanalyze and think oh, we got to rest him here and do this and do that. In these next 7 games, I personally hope to see Marky play 5 of them. I really do. And I wouldn't even be mad if he played 6. I don't think it's going to happen. Sports science, sports analytics, and, the math team and all that. He probably will play 5 at most, and maybe even 4, which would be tragic. But I would like to see him play 6. Give him the rest on the back-to-back and let Allen play Boston. I play Marky the rest of them, but we'll see. I'm sure Marky's going to be fighting behind closed doors to try to take that crease for a lot of these games leading into the playoffs, but I'm sure we'll over-rest him. But big games coming up. And I especially want him to play Monday night because we don't play again till Saturday. So it's if he plays Monday, even if he plays Monday, he's still going to be sitting for 4 full days in between starts. I just don't like goalies sitting, and it seems like over the years, goalies like to just stay active. 4 days is kind of a lot, and if he doesn't play, then you're talking about a week between starts. That's way too much. If he doesn't play Monday, that would mean, he started last night was Saturday, and he wouldn't start again until Saturday the 5th against the Rangers. They must go back to Marky Monday. It's a must. I'll be furious if they don't. Ride the hot hand. Ride the hot hand and put Marky back out there. Let him find his game. Let him just keep dialing it up. We're going to need vintage December Marky for the playoffs. But throw it out there in the comments. This game was awesome. Can't wait for Monday. Anything, everything Devils hockey, throw it out there in the comments. I enjoy talking to all of you. Lots of cool stuff in the works. Cam Jansen Part 3 interview will premiere later this afternoon at 5 o'clock p.m. I'll put the link in the description for that. If you haven't seen the first 2 parts, there'll be a link in the description for that as well. Cam Jansen, a great personality, former New Jersey Devil. Always love talking to him, so check that out. That one was a fun one. Lots of other stuff in the works. We've had a bunch of people talk about possibly an in-person event, so I will say, if you are remotely interested in attending an in-person event of some kind. Now, I have a lot of things going on in my head, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. But if you are interested in attending an in-person event in the state of New Jersey, please email me, email address in the description as well. I'm just trying to gauge interest. A bunch of people have talked about it, and so I'm kind of working through it and getting people to email me, and I'm just trying to kind of figure out if some of the ideas that I've had are feasible or not. So if you're interested in that, email is in the description. Shoot me an email, and I'll be back soon. Tons of things in the works and lots of stuff going on. We're in the final stretch, guys. 7 games left before the playoffs. I can't wait till we clinch. I'll be able to rest easy until the playoffs start. Can't wait. And it seems like we are headed for a fateful date with the Carolina Hurricanes, and I would love to bounce them so bad. I hate the Canes. Want to bounce them so bad. But that's it. That's it. I'm done. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.